Live from the WGBS studios, get your cup of coffee or get your shot of whiskey. It's time for Coffee Chat with Sam and Janet.
Good morning, everyone. My co-host is on the way. Happy Friday to you. Let me get the coffee chat started. Go ahead and share the link for us if you don't mind. Okay, there she is.
Good morning.
Party for the party today. Good morning, Janet.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
It's Friday.
Yep. Yes, it is. It is Friday, and we are. The time is just going by so swiftly. You know, it's already Friday. It's already September. It's already 8:30. Just already everything. How are you this morning?
I'm better now that I'm having my coffee. I mean, I shouldn't say better. I'm more energized.
Mm-hmm.
Was dragging a little bit. I got to get back on my early late schedule.
Well,
Early late, yeah, early.
You
early
some hours, bruh. I'm like, listen, I can't hang with you. I need my rest.
Well,
Me and Big Man, we have to get our rest.
It's gonna get a little bit busier for me, but I can manage it. I got to get back to my original schedule. Mm-hmm. Good morning, Rashad. Thanks for the heads up. God be on it, man.
Good morning, Rashad. Yes, he is.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Coffee Chat with Sam G and
Janet Campbell Geyser.
You know, before we get into the meat of the show, I want to share something with the peoples today. Is that okay?
Yes.
You know? Oh, I made some good coffee this morning. That bulletproof is right on time.
Is that what you wanted to share?
No, that's not. That's not it, though. But you got jokes today. I want to share something that I was doing earlier in my life as a young man, young entrepreneur, young out there working, about sharing and pouring into someone else, because I believed and I saw in my own life that when you do that, when you genuinely help someone else, it's going to come back around to you, right? Of course, right. There's some nuances there. You got to make sure you're picking the right people to pour into. So I've been doing that for this family and a couple other people over the last, Janet, 3 months or so? It's been a minute.
Oh, just them? Yeah.
Yeah, for just them, it's been a minute. And great results, by the way, changing the whole financial dynamic, showing them a skill set that they didn't think they could do, but they're doing it and killing it and going to get even better. Right. And because of that, and, a lot of other things, not just because of it, but I know that law of reciprocity is a strong law. I've seen it work, like I said, and I just sealed the deal that's going to add a huge addition to our income stream. And then now that I think about it, it seems like it came out of nowhere, right?
Right.
Yep. One day it popped up. A few days later, the deal is done. And the more the merrier, right? So I just want to drop that on the people. Sometimes it really is cool to genuinely help someone, because that good deed that what you're sowing, you shall reap later on, and you just don't know when. And you don't do these things to, okay, I'm gonna do this great thing for Janet now. Where's my reward? No, you don't do it like that. You just do it out of the kindness of your heart and everything, and uh, it'll come back around to you. So I just wanted to share that real quick.
Well, that's wonderful. And,
That's cool.
I am adding a few things to my repertoire as well.
Exactly.
And
Please
so,
pray tell.
well, I have an opportunity to do some editing, and I haven't actually done, you know, any detailed editing in years. So I'm really excited about this project that, has come my way. And I'm to start to delve into this. It's a huge opportunity. And I think that it's going to open up doors for more opportunities in the same lens. It's the best thing that I can say is that opportunities, we know this, that opportunities come around on a fairly regular basis if we're paying attention, you know.
Mhm.
And so, but you have to be mindful of what a real opportunity is, and sometimes it leads to greater things, more things, and sometimes it's for that moment. But if you have the capacity to fulfill the open door that's in front of you, by all means go into it, because you never know where it's going to lead. Even if, like you said, it's not something that happens today, somewhere
Right.
down the line it's going to come back up. So I'm excited about that as well. I'm also excited about one of our heartbeats. We had her on the show several weeks ago. We had her on the show. And if y'all remember, she's a photographer. She's a young lady. She's only like 23 or 24. And she has opened her own studio, like a brick and mortar, her own space. And let me tell you, this young lady is the only African American lady her age, in her age group, that's doing what she's doing. And I am so incredibly thrilled for her. I'm so incredibly proud of her, that she's just going, just living her dream big, big. So I wanted to just give a shout out to my girl. She knows who she is. And, let the haters continue to hate.
Yeah. That is congratulations as well, Joy. Very proud of you. But don't worry, don't spend too much time on those haters.
Nope.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so I'll go ahead.
we know that things are in the news. What were you going to say, babe?
Nothing of consequence.
Oh, okay. Are we going into the headline news?
Yeah, let's do. I mean, we got a couple of people on here right now.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you guys want us to discuss this morning? Because we're going to go into something that I know is that everyone's going to comment on.
Well,
But
first of
anything
all, Rashad, congratulations.
for what?
He feels very accomplished this week. He completed the 524
Oh, yeah.
assessments, 521 assessments.
Does that
this
mean he did
week.
521 separate things, or?
So tell us a little bit more, Rashad, about what this means. We always want to celebrate,
Successes.
our accomplishments. Yes. So give us a little more detail about that. What else is in the news?
Let us know if you guys want to discuss the topic, and also if anyone wants to come in. I didn't drop the link, but let me drop the link in here in case you do. Well, let me do this. If someone wants to come in, we'll private message it to you, because we found out when we had the last drop in that for some reason, I guess he didn't see it in the comment section or whatever. But anyway,
Right.
feel free to drop in here if you're so emboldened to join the conversation. Let's go ahead and get into it then, Jay.
Well, the topic that everybody is discussing, the topic that everybody is discussing is that Queen Elizabeth has passed.
The Queen.
Yeah, so she was 96 years young, and she has passed. And I say that she's 96 years young because there's this, you don't really, we haven't really come across a lot of people that will live to almost 100. So those are major milestones, to the people. I was also looking at TikTok. There was like a sibling family, and I think that there was like 6 or 8 of them, and the oldest was something like 110, and the youngest was probably like 95, and all of them were still living.
Wow.
And I thought that was major. That was major. But and then I also follow this lady, Miss Holla. Miss Holla is she's supposedly has cancer, and they have given her up a ton of times, but Miss Holla is still kicking and cussing and kicking and cussing and kicking. And she's 96 years old. So when you find people that are of a certain age that are still have their faculties intact and can still like move around, I think that that's amazing, regardless of anything else. So I wanted to pause a second and highlight what the answer that Rashad has. He completed 521 assessments for different clients. Okay. Each assessment guarantees that the company keeps the clients as regulars. That's wonderful, Rashad, because yes, we want the clients to stay, and we want clientele to grow. So congratulations on that. But Queen Elizabeth has passed away, and now Prince Charles is ascending the throne.
Prince Charles. I know he's well, of course, the passing of his mother, but I'm sure he feels a way about being able to become king.
Finally, huh?
Yeah.
She had a very, very long-standing reign. This lady was queen for 70 years and 214 days. So she was almost queen for 71 years.
Wow, it's a long time.
She was queen regent over 32 sovereign states in the course of her reign, and has served as monarch of 15 of them at the time of her death. She is the longest monarch. She is the longest of any British monarch recorded of any female head of state. So that was like, I know that people have their personal feelings about, her or the monarchy as a whole.
Yep.
But I think that that was an amazing accomplishment, that because her father actually wasn't even supposed to be king. So she was never supposed to have the opportunity of being over anybody. She was supposed to be Harry. Like, for real, she was supposed to be Harry. And so, this was something that was thrust on her father, not a position that he wanted or asked for, but because his brother, denounced his reign so that he could marry an American divorcee. And then all the things that went along with that. Her father became king, died young, and she ended up becoming queen at a very, very young age, and has been sitting on the throne for over 70 years. So
yeah, you guys weigh in on how you feel about that. The Queen, the British Empire. I know how I feel about it. And I understand the what some may perceive as negative comments about it, which when you really know some of the history, it's not negative at all. It's how people feel about facts that
Mhm.
happen. So much is glamorized. I almost used the wrong word. So much is glamorized in different societies and demographics of people, and they often leave out the horrors of what has happened over time, right? So that's why a lot of people that look like me, that indigenous to other lands, that and realize what empire means, right? It's a safe way of saying colonizing, but realize the damage that was done that affects generations, right, up until this day. So people say, "Oh, well, that was them back there 500." No, okay, true. Of course, duh. We know you didn't live 500 years ago because you're right here, right?
Right.
But what people have held on to, and a lot more have come to realize is it's the same thing that happened in this country, guys. We'll
Mhm.
have someone say, "Oh, well, I didn't own a plantation, but your people did, and you are now benefiting from all that stuff that they did, all the thievery, all the looting and stealing that was stolen from." Listen, I saw something the other day, and it hit a nerve with me. The world's wealth is Africa's wealth. Now, if you don't know what that means, do a little bit of research. The world's wealth is Africa's wealth, and it'll lead you into seeing how these European nations robbed the African continent and created their wealth. And they don't put it like that in the books. You don't, in even in American history books, you don't read about the British Empire and what it did to maintain and conquer lands, right? You just read about the glamorization of the British monarchy, and you see the pageantry and the pomps and circumstance, right? And all the blood and gory, and the millions of lives that were taken, the gross mistreatment of nations of people, and the annihilation of whole nations of people. Okay. So I absolutely, me personally, understand and I get it why there's not, okay. I mean, okay, the queen lived, she passed. And it reminded me of when I became friends when I was living in California with my Nigerian community. Man, they had, I didn't get it at the time because I didn't know the dynamic, right? They were not in love with the queen or Britain or anything like that, because those people had direct access to the history of what was done to their ancestors. See, and we over here in America, we've had direct access to a very similar, because the playbook has been the same, guys. If you look throughout history, the playbook has been the same. We've had dynamic uh, history of it as well. We tend to overlook it and glamorize it to a certain extent, for the most part. But even here, there are a lot of people that are coming up and, no, I'm not going to, we can't afford to dismiss this. Because guess what? Y'all technically are doing the same stuff, man, just in a different format. So how can we actually get over it, as people are saying? So anyway, I'm kind of on a soapbox on that, right? But guys, let us know how you feel about it. Exactly, Tyronza. So you get into the colonies and the colonization, you're gonna see what the real deal was, and you can't hide from it after that. It was terrible, right? And let's we're not even talk. I'm not even talking about yet about everything that was taken, guys. There's countries now that are asking back the jewels that were taken from Africa to create all that nice crown
The
and everything you
crowns and
see that people
everything.
wearing. That stuff was stolen, man. Prove me wrong. That was stolen from other countries. They have stolen artwork, right? There's countries now that have been fighting to get their historical artwork back that their ancestors did. They're getting some pieces back. It's not glamorous, guys. I mean, fight me if you want to. It is not glamorous. They presented it that way, just like American history, right? That there's textbooks that say that will have you thinking, oh, the slaves were happy in their situation. Oh, they were working their job. No, it wasn't a job. That was forced, brutal labor at no
Yeah.
pay, by the way, right? So
Yeah,
they
that's what,
glamorize it. The
you
victim
know,
gets to write the history books.
it's a little bit off our topic, but I remember there was a Facebook post a couple years ago talking about Thomas, I think it was Thomas Jefferson and Sally. Um, oh, what was her name? See, now I can't think.
The next show, The Crown. I have to check it out.
Oh, I've watched The Crown. I've watched The Crown.
Sally Hemings.
Yes. That somebody said, thank you, Taraza and Sam. Somebody in that thread said that it was a wonderful love story.
Relationship.
It was a love story and a relationship. And you know, and I had to kind of go in, because I'm like, when you're enslaved, if you're a person's property, then you don't have decision making capabilities. And this woman, you know, Sally, was, first of all, she was his wife's half sister, because her father impregnated one of his slaves, and that was his daughter as a result of it. She was the property of her sister, and she was underaged. So he, you know, raped her. And you know, and then she had children by him, because there was no such thing as, for women, period, not let alone slaves, there was no such thing as you having any type of choice over your own body. And so to say that it was a love story. So the question, after I went on with my rant, I said, that's like saying that Elizabeth Smart enjoyed being kidnapped and held for years, and pregnant, raped, and became pregnant with the 2 children that she ended up having for the guy who kidnapped her, for that old man. What young girl do you know wants to lay up with some old sloppy man? I don't care who he is.
Old and sloppy, huh?
Old and sloppy, because you know that's what they were, old and sloppy. You know, so yeah, it's you know, the tragic part of history that has gone on for since the beginning of time. There's always been situations where, you know, you have a class or a group of people.
It hasn't been going on since the beginning of time.
Slavery has, babe, and conquering has.
No, not at the level that a certain demographic instituted. It has not.
I agree with you there.
There's times when indigenous people have lived harmonious together. Look at the natives of the continent of the Americas. Did they have their civil distress and things like that? Yeah, but it was nothing like what happened when so-called Columbus founded the Americas, which he actually didn't. He never set foot on America, right? So it's nothing compared to that. So at the level we're talking about, as far as what colonization and empires being created, I'm emphasizing that because that's the title that's used, right? It's nothing on that level. So no, I disagree that it's been through time, because indigenous people live for centuries peacefully in harmony with nature, right? No disease, nothing like that, no real strife. There are African tribes that they were fake going to war because they didn't want to kill one another, right? They do dances. That's why a lot of those African dances meant, right? That was their war dances. Instead of killing each other, that's how they settled disagreements. So nothing on the scale of what this demographic we're referring to has ever been done. To go in and annihilate whole peoples, to enslave peoples. And don't get it twisted, because if you're looking at the British Empire, look up something called the Boer Wars. They did it to people that look like them because they wanted that land that those Dutch colonizers had. Yeah, I do a little bit of reading on history, especially with this topic relating to injustice in the form of nation building, right, is what they want to call it. So I'm just had to say that, Janet, it has not been throughout history in the shape that we're discussing.
And
You guys weigh in.
see that my niece is weighing in.
Okay.
Well,
I know
she's
which
weighing
one.
in on. You can't see it because it's on my page.
Let me pull up your page. Let me mute myself in case there's sound coming through.
Oh, I didn't know that you had responded to that as well. The head of the EEF, Julius M. South Africa, put out a statement about the terror the royal family put them through. And so, for me, when you talk about the royal family, it's because Queen Elizabeth didn't start the royal family. Let's be clear about that. And so though I understand and I absolutely agree with how we feel about, the what has happened across nations to the indigenous people, to the African nations, and all of that kind of stuff. I just don't agree with putting the totality of the blame on, just one person. That's all I'm saying. Good morning, Indy. Yes, Jefferson did rape her, and you responded to that too. I didn't know that. She also goes on to say it was diseases until the Europeans. There wasn't diseases until the Europeans arrived and gave them the pox, gave them smallpox.
Take your time. Like that little kid saying that the Easter speech. Take your time, baby. You good?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I thought you were going to say something.
No.
Yes, you were. You changed your mind.
Okay, so I had to look it up, right? The history of smallpox in Africa during colonial rule is a relatively neglected subject. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of reading on this and then get back to you. So
Okay.
Taranza wants to weigh in.
I sent her the link in case she was saying she want to come in. Okay, we know that's one of the things we know. What was brought with them was disease because of uncleanliness. One of the reasons why in Italy that some areas of Italy they don't really like black people. Read the history on the Moors and what they did. The Moors ruled Italy for quite some time, but what they brought was sanitation. They taught these Europeans how to clean themselves. They taught them how to create sanitary systems in their homes, right? So we know if you're reading a little bit of history as that group of people going throughout the world and claiming whole lands like these other people went there first, right? They brought certain things with them. And one of those things was diseases. You look at how, I just had his name on the top of my head, how the Aztec and Mayans were defeated. It wasn't really about war. Guys, that the Aztec and Mayans were slaughtering the Spaniards. They were winning. What happened was two things: that they brought over the diseases with them. Number one, and then number two, golly, what's the guy's Spaniard's name? He used trickery with one of the kings. Hey, I'm gonna help you. You help me, and we're gonna tell the people we're doing this peaceful and whatever. And they killed them. Okay, but we know as they're going across the world, they're bringing terror, they're bringing death, and they're bringing disease with them. Same thing happened here in the Americas, right? They brought disease with them, and that helped them annihilate peoples and also helped them conquer the land. Terranza, I sent you the link if you want to come on in here. Rashad.
I think that
read up on guys.
people...
If you want to read some interesting, legit Black history, I think is what Ashley's referring to. India, read up on the Moors, man. You're not gonna find this stuff in any school textbook, by the way.
Right.
It's up to you. There's tons of books on it. There's whole videos on this stuff. This is factual history. Centuries they ruled Italy, right? The culture that they brought, right? The knowledge in math, astronomy, science that they brought, right? And if you look at that right there, so you probably see a lot of stuff that's giving credit to all the things that happened in that country to guess who? The Europeans. Nope. Absolutely not.
So it's going to be interesting to see how the monarchy moves forward. I know that at one point the Europe was actually talking about dismantling the monarchy. They don't have as much power, decision making power as they used to. Because I think that they're moving. All of the you don't have a whole lot of countries that are ruled by monarchies in in present day history. There's only a handful that are left, and so the monarchy doesn't really have quote unquote decision making authority the way that they used to. They're really basically just a headship, because it's something that has always been in play, and you know the people still want the idealism of a king and queen. So that is the reason why they're even still in play. So
Well,
it'll be
the flip side of that, Janet, is they have power through the vast wealth that they have.
mm-hmm,
So with power, and then with wealth and power, then you can effectively cause changes, positive or negative, in regions, in whole countries, if you will, with the amount of wealth that they have. So yeah, they gave up. It was an interesting agreement. Can't remember when it happened. That when they said, okay, well, of course, we're not ruling the country as a monarchy anymore, but we want to maintain that status. So it was agreed upon. I don't think
mm-hmm,
that agreement will go away. I mean, it will cause too much havoc in the country. You got to understand that there's a lot of people that really really believe and love the monarchy. Even though they don't really rule. I think everyone pretty much knows that, right? They don't rule anymore, but they do have a tremendous amount of power. Hence the fact that the prime minister traditionally goes in and lets the king, well, the queen, king, that whoever's in rule know what's going on with the country, so that monarchy can stay in touch with what's going on with the country.
mm-hmm.
And we are not experts on the British country, guys. This is what our little research. So I'm gonna put that disclaimer out there. But
Right.
we do have somebody who wants to weigh in. She rang the doorbell, one of our good people. So let's bring her in right away, post haste.
Hey,
Good
Taron.
Alonzo,
morning.
thank you for
Oh,
joining us.
it's great to
Hi.
Nice
see you
lady.
too.
Real quickly, tell the people a little bit about you. We know who you are, but about what you do, that kind of stuff, and we'll get into it.
Okay. Good morning, good people. My name is Tyronza Melvin. I should be telling you what I don't do so that I'm
She's
doing
part
everything.
Jamaican.
So I know, right? So I am a professional tax preparer. I am a bookkeeper. I'm licensed to sell health insurance. Working on getting certified as an enrolled agent to practice tax law. I'm in front of the IRS. Also trying to get this license for to sell life insurance. So I'm busy over here. So people think that tax season ends and that's it. No, not with me. I mean, but
Yeah.
been keeping busy. Been keeping busy. It's great to see you too, Mrs. G. I like to call you Mrs. G.
It's good to see you too. You talk. I mean, listen, my daughter, because they have a tax company as well. I thought was under the complete misconception that once tax season ended, that was it, that she would be able to come and see me. But she was like, just because, Mom, what I do, I work all year round.
And we do, because we have people who like to file late and need
Mhm.
extensions and things of that nature. And things come up when they get these IRS notifications. They call you, and the whole world is on fire.
Right.
For them, and that's understandable. So I take a little break for my birthday though, which is coming up in a couple of days. But I'm busy. We stay this way. We all the time. So
Busy is good.
busy is good. Busy is good. And I like to stay informative. I like to stay in front of what the IRS is doing, what they're not doing. So, but just a little tidbit side note before I weigh in on the information on today.
Okay.
IRS is hiring. They are hiring. So,
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on, Taranza. Hold that thought. So you have given me a plethora of information in 2.2 seconds. I just want to know, how come you haven't been on our coffee and chat?
Because I'm coming back.
I'm busy.
Right. I have to there's some certifications I had to stay on top of. The state of Alabama, pray for the state of Alabama people. The life insurance, I have to get my renewal. So I'm working on a lot of that information, and I'm gonna come back. I have to. Yes,
Yes, we need you to come on and share your knowledge in, let's say 2 areas of your expertise.
Yes, absolutely. And I want my goal, my mission. One of my missions in life is to this propaganda that the United States of America has built when it comes to the I, R, and S. People, those 3 alphabets together, people don't like. So I want to debunk that, and I want to share with people information that I have. These people are just like you and I. Imagine the IRS just being your light bill company, and that's exactly what they do. They're collecting something from you that the United States wanted. That's your money, but you have rights as a person, also as an individual. So my mission is to debunk that propaganda that was fed into people like, oh my God, the IRS, they gonna come take my house, my kids, the dog. It's you have
freezing our accounts.
Yeah, that part. So there's ways of getting help with the IRS, especially for my people that owe. I want to have a deep conversation with you all, because it's somebody preparing your taxes, and then you owe $8,000 to the IRS. To a middle class family with 3 kids, $8,000.
Right. Something is wrong with that.
Something
should be wrong.
Right. If something's wrong, and just a person that's preparing your taxes, to just have them tell you that, and then you pay them the fee for preparing them, and there's no other recourse for you, that is not true. So I'm here. That's my new mission, is to debunk all that.
Yes. So we definitely have to schedule you on the coffee and chat to talk about, the taxes, answer some questions, and just give us some knowledgeable information on that particular topic. But now we want to just give you the floor so that you can share, so you can weigh in on our topic for the moment.
Don't hold back.
I'm always the one, and some friends of mine says, like, Charles, you're always 1,000 pro-black. Well, yeah. I don't know how else to be.
Right.
I love this melanin, so I'm going to support it, good, bad, or indifferent. There's no perfectionism in any race. So I do celebrate more of the good. I do champion more of the good when it comes to this melanin over here. But I people just say, it's like, just celebrate somebody. I want to, and I God rest her soul. I did not know the Queen. Did not know her personally. She seemed like a swell lady. She seemed like my grandma. So I know that she did not start this. I know that somebody back in yonder years set up this fact that these people get to be queens and princes and princesses and dukes and lords. Somebody did that. I don't know who. Because I feel like I'm a queen. So I mean, I just I don't have a Buckingham Palace. Well, I do. It's my apartment. So, so but I
Well,
when they
wait a minute, to what you just stated, okay? I will tell you, the British monarchy traces its origins from the petty kingdoms of Anglo-Saxon England and early medieval Scotland, which consolidated into the kingdoms of England and Scotland by the 10th century. England was conquered by Normans in 1066, after which Wales also gradually came under the control of Anglo Normans. So I hear you, Pat. Listen, do y'all see this?
Yep.
Who's the queen? I am.
Yep. There you go. See,
I'm a queen mother.
Hello.
I'm all of those things.
Exactly. Exactly. So
So,
these people, somebody just, I don't know who made that decision that this particular group of people or family or whoever got to do this. To give these people, somebody gave the power to say, hey, you're going to be, I don't know where that power came from. I don't know who made that decision. Because, I mean, you could have just rang my doorbell and I'd be like, oh, me be queen. I don't know. But, let me see how this dress look on me. Let me see how this crown fits, But I don't know who made that decision. That this particular people get to have that title. I don't know. But we were, and then my research serves me correctly. The African continent has princesses,
and kings and queens. Yes.
queens, lords, right? So I put in the Facebook chat about the a Netflix show called The Crown. Okay. When she first initially went to that trip that her father was ill, Queen Elizabeth II's father was ill, he asked her to go, and I think it's called a walkabout, whatever the place how they go from each place, each colony they had, and the people, I think she went to Nairobi. I think that's what it was. The people showed up in protest. It was a protest that showed up because in her speech she said, "Well, this I'm just paraphrasing. In the speech that they have on that show, The Crown, she says, well, they were well, this land was savages, and we now have came in, and I'm like, savages. The women showed up. You in the crowd, you see how they showed up in protest. That was their protest. And her husband, Prince Philip, said, "Oh, nice hat," and she said, "That's a crown." And I'm like, I just don't, we're savages. This is their land. You came here. Matter of fact, no, not you came here. Somebody in your family sent somebody to discover these lands to then come in and bargain for these people's land. And that's what you did. And Sam, you are correct. There's a gentleman, I forget his name. He's from the African continent. I forgot what country. He wants the artifacts, all the paintings, everything back from what you people and you did take these things. You took these things from Africa. So another place, I'm trying to get all this out. We like to go to the there's the British Virgin Islands and there's the US Virgin Islands. The Bahamas. Those places like that were ruled, but when they left these places, you left these people no resources. None. India, Mahatma Gandhi, yes, they were. Remember, they did that big old protest. He didn't. He was fasting. He was not fasting. He was not eating. Indians wanted them. India wanted them out of.
Right.
Yes. So, because they came there to do what? Steal their spices because they don't know how to season over there. So, and plus the refrigeration, they needed that spice. So all jokes aside, but it's you come to these places, you give these people no resources. You say you quote unquote cleaning them up, making them less savage. And then who told you that they were unhappy the way they were?
I always find it interesting when one race or particular people call another particular people savages, because when all of this, when we go back through history, what we learn is that the Vikings are really the ones who went and started conquering other lands and was actually fighting against some of that British rule that we're talking about during that time, because they wanted to explore. And they called the Vikings savages. So there's a show out there called, literally, it's on the History Channel, called The Vikings.
Yes.
And people can also do further research on that. These people were considered to be savages as well. And then if we come home to our wonderful United States of America, as Sam was talking earlier about, Christopher Columbus claiming to have discovered a place that already had people on here. Our indigenous Americans, that the Indians, were referred to as savages. In our African continents, those people, in Australia, those people, they're all considered savages. So my question then becomes, what makes them savages? Because you, whoever the yous are, when you came and quote unquote conquered those particular lands, you used massive brute force. You did things to these people and you use torture methods, that were just that would completely annihilate them. You stole everything that they had, and then you turned around and made it like, because even when you're here in America and you look at the history of Western civilization and how the quote unquote West was won, they kept pushing the Indians further and further west. Right. But at the same time, you were giving the colonized people, you were giving them lands that did not belong to them.
That is true.
So even though I understand the process, right, of quote unquote war tactics, and putting your flag, staking your claim to something after you fought a good fight, that still doesn't make it actually right. We know that that's the history of what people have done. Even in Africa, they have gone into other places and have conquered, those lands. There has been through the history of time, you may have only had, I'm gonna Google it to give you an exact number of time where there hasn't been war. I think that us as a, people of color, and I'm talking, African Americans, Africans, Indians, anybody that is a person of color, I feel like we are more in tune to it because it has affected us. It has had a greater impact on us.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. I was doing some digging in my
yes, ma'am. She just say okay to me.
I did some digging in my history. I have a birth certificate, a death certificate of my grandmother's mother. Because it was, and I love my family, but I wish they would stop saying that we have rumors, because we do, because we don't know, we have no facts. But it was rumored in our family that my grandmother's mother was an Indian lady. So I was on Ancestry, and this leaf pops up, and lo and behold, she was an Indian lady.
What nation was she from?
I'm still digging. I need to get somebody to help me, because this death certificate, they wrote in this penmanship, beautiful, but good Lord, I can't make a Z or a Y. Come on, they didn't have typewriters. I get it. Now, and I did the census in that time. Now, the way the land was scaped out, the censor person, whoever this person was, the Indian lady lived next door to my grandmother's father. And I'm like, what are African Americans doing on the same property or whatever in South Georgia? This is Dodge County, Georgia, Wheeler County. What are y'all doing together? And only thing that I can think of was your sharecropping. That's the only thing I can figure that makes any sense until I can dig a little more. And then the man that's listed on that death certificate is her father, a Caucasian man. His name is Mark. Last name Ryals. When I drive back home to South Georgia, that name, there's doctors' offices with that name, pharmacies with that name. Um, so yeah, I got to dig a little deep. And her mama's name was Lou. It said Lou on that. I think that's an L. I'm assuming. Again, I can't really make this out, and it has her last name too, but I can't make it out the writing. I'll send it to you later, Sam. So because I'm trying to get somebody who can read this stuff to tell me. But so if that is true, um, uh, then I know back in yonder years, sometime in the 70s, 60s, people like I was like African Americans are related to Indians. We got Indian in our blood. So if that is true, then that is true of me. But
let me tell you the propaganda, right?
Mm-hmm.
So accordingly, because even in my own family, right, my mother, my entire life has told me that one of my greats was half Indian and the other one was full blooded Indian on both sides of her mother's side and her father's side. So I've heard that my entire life. And one of the tribes that we're from is Choctaw. That's what I've heard my entire life. So, okay, here I am, an adult. And it's like, it makes sense because of the facial structure, right?
Mm-hmm.
That, you knew that there was something else that she wasn't like completely 1000%, Black. I don't think that there's any person who is 1000% of any race. First of all, I think that the races are mixed totally, but that's a whole other conversation.
Right.
But the propaganda, here's the rub. So indigenous people, if Indians were here, it is my belief that they weren't the only ones that were here. So if we understand anything about Pangea, we know that at one point all of these continents were actually connected. There were probably smaller bodies of water that separated them. So any travelers from Africa, right? If we believe that all civilization came from Africa, okay, and then they dispersed to other areas, then we have to believe they didn't drive in cars. There was no plane, right? They walked. So we have to believe that all people of all areas were coming from everywhere. So there were, as well as Indians here, I believe that there were already Black people here. Okay, that's my belief.
You're right. I had a friend of mine who's Hispanic. He's from El Salvador, and he believes that.
Yes, because
if you can come across some of the early pictures, those natives were dark as me.
Exactly.
Okay. So yeah, I believe that is very true.
I will never believe that in Colombia that all you had was Hispanics that were, let's just say, Hispanics that were my color. No. There were Hispanics that were Sam's color.
Right.
There are Hispanics, so you have
different shades of brown. Absolutely.
Right. So what I'm saying is this is my belief. So but the propaganda is this. According to whoever, Black people as a whole do not have Indian ancestors as a whole.
Right.
According to people, Indians did not mate with Black people.
Yep.
And because of this propaganda, okay, if you really do any type of other research, then you find out that even, in today's time, if you have to have a certain percentage of Native American in you to be able to receive some type of benefit, a check, or some free education, or whatever it is. And so this is that propaganda that pushes us out of that particular part of our history. I'll further go on to say this. Now, my mom, like I said, my mom has said my entire life that her grandparents, these are her grandparents. One was full-blooded Indian, and one of them was half Indian. When I did my ancestry, okay, my percentage now, you know, I know that I'm Creole, you know, I got a whole, you know, I have a sea of family that's Creole, so I already know that side of me. I didn't know a whole lot about my mom's side. But when I did my ancestry, you know, my Native American percentage came back at 1%. And I was like, how is that even possible? But check this. When I first initially did my ancestry, okay, now I am fully aware that I have African descendants. I am fully aware of that. I didn't know where. So that helped me figure that part out. But my initial ancestry said that I was 9%, that I had 9% Nigerian ancestry in my DNA. 9%. That's when I first did it. I don't even know how many years ago. I did it when I went to Ancestry because they said that I had some updates, right? And I had the whole European. So you had about 60% African in different continents of Africa. And then you had that other, you had like 30% European, and then you had the French countries in the DNA. When they sent me an update, the update suddenly said that I was 30-something% Nigerian, okay? And everything else, all of my other percentages stayed exactly the same, but now I'm 30% Nigerian. And so I questioned that, right? How can the number change so dramatically?
Right.
How do I go from 9% to 30-something% of one thing, and my DNA stays the same? I don't make it make sense. You know, they came up with some kind of response, you know, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. So
There's
you
your
have
answer
to
right there.
update, right? Exactly. Manipulation of the data. That is my point. To make it seem like we are not who we are. We're not who we are. Now, all day, every day, at the end of each day, I'm a Black woman. But
say it with your
according to my
chest.
DNA, what you say, babe?
Say it with your chest.
I identify as Black.
Right.
My mom and my daddy say I'm Black, but I am all these other things as well. And so you're manipulating the data. So I went and checked probably a couple of months ago. The Nigerian percentage has gone down to like 27%. But still, understand that all of the other continents that my ancestors are from in Africa, they have stayed the same. So, you know, I guess my point to all of that is the thing that Ancestry has done for me is actually, you know, kind of put me in contact with other it has certainly helped me find out who I'm related to on my mom's side, which is the goal, which was my actual goal. You know, I think that when it comes to finding out, you know, if I really want to delve into all of the percentages of myself, then I need to go to another source and not Ancestry. And I would highly recommend that, you know, if you really want to know, you find out who this tidbit of information, research that as much as possible.
Yes.
I tell you, one of the things that I love is that guy that's on PBS that does the your family history. I
Oh yeah.
absolutely love him. I
Yes.
love him. You
Yes.
know, and so I know that, like, for myself, my name in itself is a Scottish name,
Mm.
right? It's a Scottish name. And so I have to own all of that stuff. I have to own all of the things. So there's an ongoing joke between me and Sam. You know, Sam says he's Nigerian. He
I
says it,
am.
and he says it with his chest.
Yeah.
But there's no data to to support
I
the
don't need the data. When you know, you know.
Exactly.
Niger runs through my blood, man.
But I want
I
But
actually have proof.
I want to yeah, yada yada yada. What you say? Let me check the audio. Is the audio
I
working?
have proof.
Is the audio working? Let me jump in here.
yes.
But you get out of control. It's Friday, so I'm gonna hear it all weekend now.
Yes.
Um, if we're maintaining, which we do on this show, we're maintaining an unbiased thesis in what we're discussing. So back to the ancestry data. One thing we can say is possible manipulation of data. Also, we got to look at the other coin. As more and more information is coming into the database, now they have more information to pull from, right? So, part of that ancestry DNA is pulling from different DNA samples, right? Because some of these strains are in other people. That's why I think on Ancestry, you hop on there and you realize you got all these family members, right? Because those strains are connecting in the algorithm that they use for the database. So I just want to maintain that equilibrium, if you will.
I
Um,
understand that part, but you mean to tell me that the only thing that you're pulling is Nigerian? What about Benin Toga? What about the
I
Congo?
don't know. You need to
What
reach
about
out to Ancestry Support Helpline for that, the answer to that. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know about that, ma'am,
I'm
but I
just
just want to
saying, if
maintain
we
on.
if you have all of these strains that's coming, I'm
Mhm.
sure that all of the strains are coming. So if one, I questioned the fact that it was such a huge increase in the Nigerian strain. That's what I questioned. And if
Well,
that was
okay.
the
If
case,
I
there
think
should
about it a
have been
little bit,
some change in the rest of them as well.
if I think about that a little farther, you have to look at the history of getting your DNA test in this country. In the beginning of Ancestry, Black people did not do it because we did not what? We did
Mhm.
not trust.
Yep.
So there's been over the last Ancestry's been around for a minute, right?
Thank you. You just did my argument for me, babe. I
Well,
appreciate
it's not an argument; it's an unbiased discussion. So, with
Mhm.
Ancestry being around for a while, as more and more Black people are coming into the database, right? Then there's more and more samples for their computer algorithm to pull from. I'm just looking at it from an unbiased as the show compliance officer.
Come on.
I gave myself another title. I should have done that. So anyway, let's try and get back around to this thing, guys. So you guys mentioned some things that I want to talk about. Uh, did someone mention something about Florida?
Florida. What's happening now?
Indians in Florida. Anyway, I pulled that up. I can't remember why I pulled it up, but you were talking about, I think, Toronto, about what was happening with the natives, and your what you're finding out about your parents and everything. Uh, and from my research, after the Civil War, guys, the ex-slaves, now ex-slaves, had no place to go. So some of them moved on to the lands with the natives, right? With some of these nations, right? So yeah, I think that was definitely intermarriage. There were definitely people, I mean, kids being born from that and everything. But the thing that popped up in my mind is research something called the Dawes Rolls, DWS. So the government was actually giving land. This sounds so crazy. Giving land to the natives. They took it. Now they want to give some back.
Mhm.
But guess what? The Dawes Rolls stated you had to be native. You guys ever heard the term $5 Indian?
Mm-mm.
No. So there's $5 Indian because what happened is that the white settlers guess what they wanted? The land, right? So they came and claimed to be, paid the little $5, claimed to be native peoples so they can get the land. That's why you'll see some native claiming to be native and they white as all get out.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably why on that death certificate, her dad is Mark Rouse, the white man who's married to her mother, the Indian lady, to get You gave me an avenue to go to, because it's like, why
Okay.
are you there? I
All
don't
right.
understand.
Well, I wanted to bring that up. That's probably why I kind of that triggered in my mind. And as we're talking about all of this stuff, guys, there's some people I follow, reading on my research. We've entered, so they say, in something called the age of Aquarius. Basically, it's a global shift in consciousness and how we view past information. In other words, the truth is coming out. You guys notice that going around the world? This is a global thing. And
Mm-hmm.
people are like, wait a minute. No, we're not going to dismiss the fact that your ancestors did all this stuff, number one, and you've been living, all your ancestors have been living this glorious life because of this treachery and killing and looting and stealing. So no, you guys got to own that.
Right.
Right. So we got this witness, what's called the age of Aquarius, with a whole, I don't want to use the word wokeness, but this conscious level coming up. In other words, humanity is going to get to a point where we got to settle these old issues and debts, humanistic debts, if you will, in order to move into a new way of living. And that's what's happening around. That's part of this whole shift. It's not just financial. I believe that's what's happening around the world, right? So I want to bring that up because y'all was going for a minute, but I'm patient. I'll sit on the sideline.
Yes, sir. And I want to tell everybody, I had this young lady many moons ago be offended that I there's no better way to say this, but be offended that I'm black and I'm proud. And she was Caucasian lady. But just because I'm black and I'm proud does not mean I hate you. So I just want everybody.
Right.
That don't mean I don't like this color. I just like. I mean, I have to love me first in order
Right.
to love you. So I don't. Oh, you just work with black people. Oh, you just speak. No, I mean, no. Where did you get that from? Because I'm black and I'm proud. I know. I don't understand that because I just don't understand it. But yeah,
It's
but
really the same thing when the whole Black Lives Matter movement, came about, that other people were offended because, and you countered it with the all lives matter. Yes, all lives do matter. However, from where I'm sitting as a person of color, obviously, I am watching on a daily basis, the brutality of my own people, of my kind. Like, we are disposable. And I think that when people come to terms with that, and stop this whole propaganda, and I feel like it's because it's happened for centuries and centuries. It's really a bullying tactic to just shut you up and keep you, quote unquote, in your place. We see that time and time again. We see that as people of color. We see that as women. We see that as, just across the board, really. It's a tactic to shut you up and keep you in your place. But as Sam said, we are in a different type of consciousness and awareness. And when people get sick and tired of brutality and being dismissed, and just the injustices that are forced upon us, that's when you get the real pushback, and that's when things change. So it's a good thing, I think, in a lot of instances. I think it's a really, really good thing. But
But I can't love you and then hate me.
exactly.
That's not gonna work for me. So
It doesn't work for me either. Because this is the skin, there's nothing that I can change about my skin. There's nothing I can change about my parents, or my particular ancestors on my family tree. There's absolutely nothing that I can change about that. And to that lens, I have, obviously, okay, I have a lot of white people and other nationalities in my family. Just look at the DNA. So I'm not saying that, because I love whoever it is that I am, I'm not saying that I'm better than you, right?
right.
I'm saying that I have a seat at the table. That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
I have a seat at the table. I have a right to be a part, just like you.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Mrs. G. Because Sam, the Nigerian brother. Sam, why you telling you Nigerian?
I'm Nigerian. I'm all the way. Watch, I'm gonna do this. Ancestors are gonna say 85% Nigerian.
It's gonna say Mississippi.
When that happens,
that's all it's gonna say.
I'm gonna go on the record.
That's all it's gonna. Listen.
Hold on a second.
Walking around here with all these freckles on his dark skin face.
Third-party witness.
Do you know any Nigerians with freckles? I'm just asking for a friend.
It's going to be 80+%.
Sam got more freckles than I have.
It's going to be 80+% Nigerian from the Igbo tribe, which is,
he got the tribe down.
Right?
He got the tribe and everything.
Listen, you're my witness. From that day forward, all I'm aware is African.
It's going to say Sam is German.
I'm going to have one. Remember Eddie Murphy had that thing. Right? That's all I'm gonna do. I'm gonna learn the language and everything.
If it comes back that Sam has a Nigerian chief in his family, it's y'all probably.
Oh, she's gonna be on it then. She's gonna be on it then. Babe, let's go to Nigeria and see your people. Let's go see your peoples.
No, he gonna come back with German.
Oh my. Jeez.
With all the freckles.
Whatever.
Freckles. But Mrs. G, my brother, who is darker than Sam, he was born with freckles, and his son, Justin, he was also born with freckles. They have now, the melanin has caught up with his skin. They were born with freckles. They had.
When I tell you, listen, when I first met Sam, when we first started dating and I noticed those freckles, I'm like, I was dying. I ain't gonna lie. I was dying. I'm like, I ain't ever in my whole entire life met a dark-skinned person with freckles.
The original peoples of the world where my people come from, we created all the shades. My grandfather's darker than me with blue eyes, right? So all of that. If you go to certain places in Africa, you'll see dark people with tight eyes. Asian. Mm-hmm. So as they migrated across the globe, some of those traits were carried on. What happened is they were not so close to the equator, so their pigmentation had to change to adapt to the environment. So I am part of the original people.
But still, okay, you got freckles.
See what I did there?
Okay. You got freckles. We are not going to just overlook the fact that you got freckles.
Hey, you like my freckles, so hey, it's good.
I do. I just find it hilarious, though.
Absolutely. I love you too. You guys are wonderful. Oh my gosh.
Oh, thank you.
But yeah, we gotta have a Tuesday. Well, we don't do Tuesday, but we gotta have a text time with Ty.
Text time with Ty.
Yep. Before you get busy, because it's getting ready to get busy for you.
And Pat, I do too. I have biracial grandchildren, and, we're a melting pot of people, right?
No, of course. Yes, that's true.
And so, you can't, for me, I love myself. I love my people, right? Mm-hmm. But I cannot deny any of the other aspects of my surrounding either. And I absolutely, completely, and emphatically love my grandchildren. Mm-hmm. I could care less if they was blue. They're mine, right? And so, exactly. We just can't deny those things, period. So, I am really about all inclusion, as long as we have that, the whole respect for everybody and their particular cultures.
It's a client calling you. Guys, I see you on Facebook. You're supposed to be calling me about my taxes.
I muted myself. No, not again. Sorry about that.
So yeah, I really feel like, with all of us and all of our cultures, that we should be able to, we can learn something from everybody, and I know that my daughter-in-law, she did not see the same type of disparities that we live with, on a regular basis. I am the mother of a Black son, of African-American male. And as a mom of a African-American male, my heart is stressed every single day that he walks out of his house. Because you never know what's going to happen just because he's black. And she didn't really understand that until she got pregnant with what? An African American male.
Yep. Understood. And now to piggyback on that, Mrs. G, I'm not a mom, but I'm the older sister of 6 boys, African American men.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm stressed.
Right.
I'm stressed from and then I have an African American daddy. I'm stressed. You know what I'm saying? Who, he thinks that he's retired veteran, he's retired for the military. And that's
that's a whole nother story.
That's a whole nother story. And then daddy, works security now where they carry weapons. And it's like, and he carries it in his private vehicle. And I'm like, when I found that, I'm like, yeah, you might want to do the work card, Dad. So they, if you get pulled over, these people know, because that's unfortunately, they're gonna see your skin first before they see your job.
Right.
So I'm stressed, I'm concerned, when a couple of years ago, my brother Malcolm was stationed in Fort Carson, Colorado. That's where that killing happened at the movie theater. The guy with the orange hair went into the movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
The Batman movie came out then. That's what the movie was. My brother told me, I called him the day before and we had a conversation. He said, I'm going to the movies because he likes to go when it's first coming out. That's his thing. And I said, okay, well, have a great time, now that's Fort Carson. When that shooting happened, and I was sitting in bed and I heard on the news. Now my mom did not know that he was going. Okay. I automatically I grabbed my phone and I called him. Okay. He usually picks up right away.
Right.
But it kept ringing. On that, my heart was pounding because that's what he does. He goes to movie theaters when these things, because he's a Marvel dude. He likes Batman, all the great stuff. So I'm thinking he's at that movie theater. That's the only movie theater that's close to Fort Carson when that issue happened. He finally picked up the phone on the third ring, and I'm like, why don't you pick up your phone? And I said, where? And I said, where are you? He said, I'm at the house. I said, you're not at the movies? He said, no. He said, I couldn't go today. They had me do some extra duty on the base. I said, thank
God. Thank God.
Oh my God. So it's like, but I mean, that wasn't a police pullover thing, but still,
right.
It's I'm kind of, I'm stressed for them. My brother, my other brother lives in Virginia. Oh Lord Jesus. So, it's like, there's nowhere safe. I don't, I stress for all African American men, for the crime we commit against each other and the crimes that are not, other people commit against us. I mean, it's just, I don't know what to say. I mean, we pray, and then what else are we gonna do? I have to have a conversation. I have to ask my brother. My nephews are 12 and 11 this year. You had the conversation with the boys. You had the conversation with the boys. You got to have this conversation before they start driving. We need to have it now. Because right now they're just living life. They're thinking they're invincible. So I mean, it's just something. I don't know why we got to live like this. And Susie Q and Karen, Caucasian sons get to be free and stress free and just whatever,
and cuss the police out and everything, and not they still get to walk away with their lives. And I think that these are the things. Obviously, these are the things that that pushed Black Lives Matter. When you see those type of inconsistencies and complete disparities amongst people of color that don't even do the same thing that white people do. Even with the young man that went into church and just killed the members of the church that were minding their own business, and they took this dude to Burger King or somewhere, Wendy's somewhere, to get him something to eat. It's like,
it's crazy. Yep.
Make it make sense. really, for real, make it make sense. But I was just sitting here doing a quick search on African monarchies, and there still are a few.
Yes.
Okay, still are a few. We have the Kingdom of Monaco, the Kingdom of Eswatini, and the Kingdom of Lesotho, something like that. Lesotho. Whew. So just to name, those are three.
Absolutely. And then I want to plug Viola Davis. I love her. Yes, her movie's coming out.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Real soon, right?
Yes, September 16th.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes, they say that, they say people don't, yeah, I was in the movie theater. September 3rd. That was September 3rd was when all movie theaters link you in the movies for $3. I went to go see the Spider-Man. I just went to go out to be at the movies. And that promo came on. Now, me and my Hispanic friend were the only two people of color in there. Everybody else was Caucasian. And it was, doing her promo, it was dead silence of that movie. Dead silence of that promo. And Wakanda promo was up there too. Dead silence. I'm like, I didn't again. I promote us. I'd be like, "Yay, woohoo!"
I can't wait for Wakanda to come back on. Even when you saw people that were watching some of the premieres of it, everybody was crying. Yeah. And I can't wait to see the movie with Viola Davis in it as well. In addition, to what it represents, I just love a good action movie. I love a good action.
There's a woman in it. Yes.
The actual true Amazon, where they got the whole story of Amazon from. They were not quiet. They were not quiet.
I think when you realize that common sense, right? When you just use a degree of common sense, and that these people came from particular areas, right? The rainforest, the heart of Africa, any place like that. And a little bit about history and why people, the closer you get to the equator, your skin has to be a certain shade because it's a protective measure and a natural sunscreen from the sun. Then, oh my God, this chick right here. My best friend is on. Hey, my love. I know I saw you having a good time in Punta Cana. But just using a little bit of common sense, right? That these people could not possibly be, Caucasian because it's too close. Your skin would not be able to survive those types of elements, really. And the further you go from the equator, the lighter the skin becomes, because it, even with the shape of the nose, your nose is shaped a particular way to be able to deal with the area that you're in. So in Africa, the nose is more wide, because it's there's a definition from it, and I forgot what it was, but I read about it, and it makes sense. The way that the human body is made in order to be able to deal with certain things. Your feet might be wider because you are stepping on stones, or where you're walking and all of that kind of stuff. But then as you get further away, you don't need the same things as you did when you were closer to the equator. So therefore, over centuries and centuries, the coloring, became more diluted, and that's what you have.
Yes, ma'am. And then if you look at the animal kingdom, and I'm not trying to call us animals, but if you look at certain animals in the animal kingdom, the way they are is because of the environment they're in, the way they shape, things of that nature. So that comes for us humans too. So
Exactly.
right.
Exactly.
I have a friend of mine whose wife is from Morocco. That's northern Africa, if you know. And she's paler than you, Mrs. G. And she had somebody ask her one time, and she was put in an application just to be a cleaning lady. And the lady said, she said, she said, you check black. And she's like, yes. So she's like,
Now you're questioning what I am.
right. Like, that's what she was. Yeah, she told me, her English is not perfection. She's been over here for at least 7 years. But she's like, yes, African descent. It says black or African. It says that on the application, on certain applications.
Mm-hmm.
That's what she put down. She's not going to put Hispanic. She's not putting white. You said black or African descent on the application. That's what she checked. So, but yeah, so she said it made her feel like, like they, her pigmentation was put forth.
In question, right.
Right. So she's like, yeah, she's African, she's Moroccan. So, that isn't the United States, but that's Morocco, Northern Africa. So, and even in Egypt, again, Northern Africa, away from that equator, going back to what you were saying. Absolutely.
And a lot of people, they don't realize, or they forgot that Egypt is Africa. It's within the continent of
Lord, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna start carrying around a globe with me every time. I'm like, here's the globe. Look at it. There it is.
Y'all can do zoning here in America. But how you gonna completely change the zones of Africa, the whole continent? The whole continent.
Yeah, and then going back to Florida, people, if you talk to somebody in Miami, they are not from Florida. FYI, they from Miami.
Right.
They tickle me when they do that. I'm from Miami. I don't know about the rest of Florida.
Well, I think that's the same. It holds true with other people when it comes from people from Louisiana, from the state of Louisiana. Mm-hmm. When you say that you are, if I tell somebody that I'm from, Louisiana, they automatically think I'm from New Orleans. Like that's the only place that anybody can be. And I'm like, nah, no, that's not it.
Or they think New Orleans is the state of Louisiana.
Right. It's the state. New Orleans is the state. Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm glad you popped in, Taranza.
Oh.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I will talk to y'all later.
All right.
I love you both. I really do. I love you both. My relationship goal. That Mrs. G, Mr. G. That's what I'm talking about. Love you.
Trying to save it now. Excuse me. That was a good save, by the way. We'll take it.
I'll see y'all later.
All
right. Thank you so much.
Okay, that's probably going to wrap it up for us. Hey guys, thanks for joining us this Friday. I need to eat.
Okay. Rashad said we need a geography segment. He may be on to something.
How do you make a geography segment interesting?
Right.
I like geography, but we can look into it for sure. That's what we want to hear right there. Thanks, Pat.
Thanks, Pat. And as always, we got some really, really good feedback. India is always on point. Yes, she is always on point. Thank you so much, sweetheart. I love you. Pat chimed in. Rashad had a lot to say, which is wonderful. And we absolutely were so blessed to have Taranza come on and chime in and give us her thoughts. I still would suggest that anybody, if you really want to know, where you're from, people are finding out about, relatives, children, parents, on Ancestry. My only issue with Ancestry was what I discussed. But as far as the platform as a whole, I absolutely think that that's something that you should do, because you never know who you might find.
And God knows, God forbid if I do it and find out I got another kid or something. That would be interesting. I wonder how many times that's happened. You know, you didn't know you had a kid.
Right.
You know, I'm sure it's happened.
I'm sure it's happened. Absolutely.
Well, hey, it's burger. What was that?
Or who you thought you were and you weren't. Thought you was, a part of this clan and you really weren't. Kat is saying that happened to one of her friends. Yeah. I believe it's happened on more than on several occasions.
So is it Burger Friday today, Janet?
If you want it to be, can you wait?
What am I waiting for?
Oh, well, we only have like an hour.
Yeah.
We like to be there early. Yeah. My boy is coming with us today. Because he needs to go outside. Oh, man. He's been good all week.
All right. You guys have a great weekend. Be safe. Eat some good food. And you know what? That person you say you love, tell them that you love them. Let them hear those words.
Babe. I love you.
In person.
We are in person. Look.
Okay. I love you.
Here.
I love you.
Right here.
All right. Okay.
I love each and every one of you too. Ciao for now.
Okay. We're out.
Oh, hold up. Rashad is asking a question. Virtual happy hour today? I forgot all about virtual happy hour.
Oh, yeah. We're doing virtual happy hour. I did too, so I need to eat. Okay. Couple more minutes, guys. We are doing virtual happy hour tonight. I'll blast it out or let people know. I think we're going to use that same most recent link for VHH. If you want to come in, let me know. Inbox me your desire to come in, guys. This is not something we blast out and market. We just have good conversation. You do not have to drink liquor or alcohol. It's not about sitting around getting drunk. It is really a deep, grown folks conversation. We have fun. We're drinking whatever refreshing beverage. Some people have snacks and wings and chips and dips and all kinds of stuff, right?
Yep. All right, you guys.
Guess that was the shot I wanted to hear. Okay, we're out for real now. Have a good weekend.
Yep. Later.
Later, Gator.